Well, all right, there we. You know what? I was sitting here thinking that this is gonna take me like a million takes to get an actual little like improv that I liked, and this is the first one. And I was like, you know what? There's some iffy notes in there, but I'll run with it. So today, this is actually a video I didn't plan on making so soon because I thought that I got this guitar in December, but it turns out we actually ordered the guitar on the 18th of November. So I'm not sure exactly when you'll see this video, but I will have owned my dream guitar for a year. Now, I still get asked about this guitar a lot. I've done a bunch of videos about this guitar, so I'm not trying to like keep reiterating all the same things about it. But I was like, well, it was such a significant guitar to me and in all these different aspects. I was like, well, it kind of should do a re-review, kind of what I've been doing with like the PRS and the Marshall and all that stuff. Looking back, you know, because it's kind of a funny thing when you've spent so long wanting, sorry, there's like hair in my face. When you spend so much time wanting a guitar, you know, I've wanted an old Strat pretty much my whole like playing life, you know, pretty early on, seeing guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan and all this stuff playing them. I just wanted one. I was drawn to them. So to have it now is kind of this like, it's this funny thing because you've kind of completed one of those big journeys as a guitar player. Now, if you don't know what this guitar is, because like I said, I still get asked about it a bunch, this is essentially a 63 Strat. Now, it's not an all-original 63 Strat. The paint, the body of it has been refinished. If you have not seen the backstory, I'll link it up here in the comments. We actually ended up, you know, getting in contact with the original owner who owned this basically his whole life. He got it new. His name was Jim. He got it when he was 15, and I have documented pictures of the guitar when it was bought brand new, that literally the day that he bought it. Also, whenever he stripped the paint off of it and painted it black, and then he had it just natural paint, and then it got refinished, and this is the version of it that I have. Just such an amazing, you know, story behind it. It's truly, it's one of the things that makes old guitars so special. You know, a new guitar is great because you're making the story with the new guitar, but whenever you get an old guitar, it already has stories. You're just adding to it. So this one had amazing stories. So like I said, if you haven't checked that video out and you want to hear the whole backstory of it, by all means, you know, do that. Now, we have changed a few things on this guitar. Again, I've mentioned this in other videos. But whenever we got it from the gentleman who had refinished it, Jim, the original owner, had sold it. We got the guitar from someone else. So Jim basically had only at the time not owned this guitar for 3 months of its entire life. He got it, like I said, new in '63. So, but they had replaced the pots, and what else did we get replaced on this? Oh, and the pickguard had obviously been. This is not an original pickguard. This is a aftermarket. But we ended up replacing the pots on this thing back to original '63 pots that we found. My buddy Nick and my wife both were like, Nick knew my wife was researching the pots, and she found them, and Nick sent me the same exact listing that she had sent me. So I was like, oh, okay, these are probably the ones to get. And we got an old 3-way switch put in it. It had been replaced. I actually have the original one. Jim had a 5-way put in it. At some point in the 70s, I can't remember when the 5-way switches came out. Was it 76 or was it 67? I can't remember. But Jim had a 5-way switch put in it right away. So I went back to a 3-way just because I never had a guitar with a 3-way. And I was trying to get the guitar close, back to original. It is missing the back plate as well on it. But other than that, I mean, it's basically like a bone stock 63 Strat. The pickups are all original. It's the original black back pickups and all that good stuff. Original wiring is still in here. And the original tremolo and the tremolo arm, all that stuff, It's something that people always ask about is the fretboard, on it it's rosewood. It looks so dark and rich, but it's actually rosewood. It just, had a lot of miles put on it. One thing that does need to happen is that the frets are so worn out and so low. And originally, I was supposed to take this to Nashville down to get it refretted. I was either going to go to Glazier's or Groon's. And that was back in March, obviously. A lot has happened in 2020. So I've never been able to make the trip down to Nashville and get it refretted. So I don't know if you guys know any really good places to get your guitar refretted in Ohio. I would be picky. I want it to be a shop, a place with insurance and all that jazz. But yeah, let me know because it really needs frets really bad. But kind of its need for frets has ended up in the way that I play it, because you kind of have to play it slow and thoughtful and make sure you're really grabbing the note. So it's kind of a different feel. So as much as I want to get it refretted, I'm like, oh yeah, it needs new frets. I'm also like, well, I'm so used to the way the guitar feels now, it's gonna change it so much. I want to put like 6105s in it. But I'll tell you what, this guitar has inspired so many little tunes and jams and all that stuff. Actually, the song that was here in the intro, you heard me play at the outro of the Jazzmaster video. But that little riff I actually had written on the Strat. It was just like the last thing I remembered. I was like, oh yeah, what was that thing I was messing with on the Strat? But it seems so simple, but that's kind of what this guitar does. It's not like these real complex things, but the chords, I mean... Let me turn the multi-delay on to get the full effect on it, and it was on position kind of in between. That whole thing, although I'm not sure why it's so intensely crazy right now. But yeah, that was all written on this guitar originally, and like I said, sometimes my Les Paul is a very similar guitar to it, my KM, which is actually right here. And the fact that it's kind of like, if you just get one idea, it just snowballs into stuff. And that's what this one did. I was like, oh, it's just kind of cool chord voicing I'm always using. And then it naturally went. So then I added the chords. I'm sorry, that was not the chord. It makes you play real dynamic, because it's hard to play this guitar fast. So, you can't really rely on all those real flashy licks. Well, now you got to really rely on phrasing, dynamics, all those things I'm always talking about. But this guitar is like the quintessential blueprint for that, because you can't do all the fancy stuff on it, or at least I can't. Maybe someone who's better could, but. But owning this guitar has just been such a treat. What was another thing I was gonna say? The pickups people always ask about, but it's kind of, I always say this thing has magic pickups in it, because they just sound so good. Obviously I have a bunch of reverb and all that stuff going on here, but this guitar just sounds good in anything. No matter what, there's this natural warmth. A lot of other Strats that I've played, not that I've played a bunch of vintage Strats, but sometimes they're real twangy. And it's the classic situation of, just because the guitar is old doesn't mean that it's good. The pickups can still be bad, or they could be super microphonic or something like that. Like my Esquire sounds amazing, but that pickup is a little bit microphonic. And these, are not, I think by this point, they're usually pretty good. But I've had no issues with it. Like I said, I feel really bonded to this guitar. So overall, was it worth it? Totally. I've got some nicks and dings in this guitar. I will say that this guitar gets babied, a little bit more than the other ones. Not when I'm playing, regardless of what guitar it is or anything. You can't baby it when you're playing it. But I keep it in its case and all that kind of stuff. And I'm usually kind of against that, because I feel like if it's in its case, then not that you forget about it, but it might not be your go-to guitar, but it's always one of my go-tos. Especially if I'm writing something or, whatever it is, this guitar is just... I don't know, like I said, as soon as I start playing it, and I'm sure you all have guitars like that like I said, it's just like Les Paul. Once you start playing it, you can't help but write music with it. So that's the ultimate test to me, if a guitar is worth having, and just if it's a good guitar. Another thing that's kind of cool, I don't know if I ever talked about it in the other videos, is you can see on the headstock here, Jim had originally put in another, I think it was Jim, put in another string tree, and then the guy who refinished the guitar filled in the hole and everything on it. But I like looking at it because you can just see like the age of it, and obviously it's been resprayed and it's got fresh lacquer on it and everything, but it's not sticky. So whatever kind of lacquer he used, but like I said, you can see the back of it has some discoloration now, and you know it'll age. It's an actual nitro finish on it, and I think that they did a really good job of getting the color right on it, because there's a difference between a blonde from the 60s and then a blonde like my Esquire, because it is way more yellow, and then in the 60s they kind of got this more white kind of blonde to them, and it's not like Olympic white, and it's an ash body. So that's another thing that people are always like, well, they really weren't doing ash bodies. I go, they kind of were only doing the ash bodies on the translucent finishes. So this is definitely an ash body, maple neck. It's got the veneer rosewood on it. Not slab board. By 63, they weren't doing slab boards anymore. And, you know, the pickups, I can see why. It's funny because each era of Fender, the pickups, you know, you can get custom shop 63s, all this kind of stuff. It's because they were so different, you know. They all have these different voices. I feel like if you're getting like a 57 or something, those are much more aggressive pickups to me. I don't know if they're higher output, but just the sound is more biting. And this particular one, like I said, the neck pickup is truly the magic of this guitar. Is just how warm. There's the middle position. Everyone's like, why do you never use the middle position on a Strat? It's not my favorite, you know. This middle pickup sounds great combined. Some people, who was it, Robin Trower, I think he used the middle pickup a lot, if I'm remembering right. It certainly has a sound. It totally has a vibe to it, but it's just not the one that my ear necessarily loves. See, it's gonna go that neck, and then like the in-between position, that's where that middle pickup is needed. You know, those are the Strat tones. That position 4, right there. All that stuff. Or the position 2. Those are your Strat tones. I mean, like, no other guitar has those. I found even the bridge pickup seems so much more tame than other ones. So, like I said, it's just a real mellow sounding Strat, and I like that. I don't like when the Strats are too bright and too jangly sounding. You know, that's just not so much my thing. I know a lot of people can really make those sound great, but I already kind of use such a bright tone. So yeah, 1 year later, this thing's still rocking and rolling. Super honored to own it and kind of add my own little piece of its history, because, you know, these guitars will, you know, hopefully outlive, you know, most of us, and it's just going to keep on trucking. And who knows, maybe 50 years down the road, if I don't have it anymore, someone will stumble upon this old video and be like, hey, that's the Strat I'm playing right here. Probably won't be worth anything by then, but regardless, it's, you know, just a great guitar, super inspiring. So if you haven't played one of these, go check them out. And like I said, if the whole, I've said this before in other videos too, if the whole old guitar thing means nothing to you, then don't chase it. Go get a custom shop, or Fender has these, oh, I can't remember what it is. Shane has one of the Strats. They do a 60s version as well. It looks exactly like this guitar. I'd just get one of those. Like I said, if there's no significant kind of like meaning to getting an old guitar to you, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just get one of the new ones. So other than that, guys, I'm gonna bounce on out here, and I will see you all on the flippity flop later. So have a good rest of the day, and I think that's gonna be it. So peace out, guys. I'll play you out, and maybe I'll play the backtrack again. I don't know if I can rig that up. That might be above my pay grade of know-how. I think I'll just improv something here. Oh Solo Mio. Bye, guys.